Good morning, friends. This is your old girl, Melanie Rose, here to share your daily aspects. Today is Sunday, January 30, 2022, and the sun is in Aquarius, as is the Aquarius's ruling sign, Saturn. So Aquarius is traditionally ruled by Saturn. It is also newly, like within the last 100 years, also ruled by Uranus. And so there's this sort of push and pull with the Aquarius sun, where we do have an eye toward the structural integrity of our lives, the solid foundations, not just for ourselves, but, for our community and for our nation, for our world. But we also have this Uranus influence that asks us what we can do different. So Aquarius is somewhat a challenger of tradition in that it sort of asks you, what traditions or what just tried and true methods are you engaging in more out of habit than because it's what you want or desire or see for yourself and the people around you. So it's a good time to be taking a look at those foundational structures and seeing what can be refined, moved around, switched up, changed, while still maintaining solid foundations for ourselves and our communities. And the moon is in Capricorn, which is also ruled by Saturn. Capricorn is very sort of put your head down and get to work feeling, and in the moon, that's in your heart and home. And I just want to remind you that, my reflection on Capricorn yesterday, and it came back to me today, is that there are a lot of opportunities coming in. We've got a lot of momentum in our personal life right now with Capricorn toward foundation building, foundation strengthening, and, either following traditions or, under the influence of Aquarius, sort of looking at our traditions to see what we can renew or refresh about them. Capricorn, the moon is in Capricorn, Venus, Mercury, Venus, and Mars are also all in Capricorn. So those are personal planets, and there's just a huge amount of momentum toward the work that we have to do toward strengthening our foundations as we are transforming our view of what those foundations mean to us and what we need to get out of them. So the waning crescent energy of this moon, tomorrow is the new moon. So the waning crescent, practically new moon energy here invites us to continue releasing, getting rid of, emptying out, clearing off our slate, our table, our metaphorical table from which we do all of the personal work that we have to do. So to continue to release, and also to begin to think about the intentions we're going to set, because that's what tomorrow and the next couple of days brings, is setting intentions so that we can begin to plan to have some goals met with the full moon coming up in another week or so. So let's take a look at the planets that are on the page today, and then we'll get into the aspects and interpretation. At the top is always the sun, and the sun represents the outer life. This is who we are when we step out the door, the person that people first get to know when they meet us, and how we are in relationship to our work life, our social life, and our civic life. That's our outer life, which is represented by the sun. The moon represents our inner life, or our relationship with ourselves. Also those things we think, feel, know, intuit, and who we are in relation to our home, the people that we have at home with us, as well as our pets, and where our home happens to be. That's all covered under the moon, which is your inner life or your personal life. And Mercury is on the page today. Mercury represents our personal intellect, especially the day-to-day functioning of communications, planning, the thoughts we have, and the the running around that we do. Venus is actually not on the page today for the first time in a long time, but I put it up here because it's one of these personal planets that's under Capricorn, and we're still under this heavy sort of Saturn, Aquarius, and Capricorn influence right now. So Venus just went direct yesterday, so we're no longer in that Venus retrograde mode of having ourselves in our relationships under review. Things are starting to smooth out and ease up on the love and money train, and that feels pretty good. And then Mars is also not on the page today, but it's also one of those planets that's currently in Capricorn and giving us all that forward momentum with the work and the foundations that we have to do. So I put it up there. Mars is your personal sense of initiative, your fire. And when Mars is in Capricorn, it's very interested in doing the work, both inner and outer. Jupiter is on the page today. Jupiter represents growth, expansion, positive vibrations, good fortune. Saturn is everywhere on the page. Saturn represents the structures and networks that we lean on for support and validation, and our responsibility, our duty to help maintain those structures. Neptune is about our relationship to the human collective. Uranus comes around and asks us to do things differently, and so brings about some change. And Chiron is not a planet but an asteroid, and it relates to your personal capacity to heal as well as what you are working on healing. And we have a few aspect energies, but we'll get into them as we get into the interpretations of the aspects. As you can see, the page is divided into 2 columns, one for each of our luminaries. So the moon sheds light on our inner life, and the energies that come up with these very brief aspects tend to have more of an impact on our feelings, our moods, our intuitions. They're more ambient energies that affect the way we feel. Whereas the sun sheds light on our outer lives, and it has more of an impact on who we are and how we come into our workspace, our social and civic spaces. So I address the sun's aspects and all the other planets' aspects on this side because they have more to do with who we are in those spaces, and they take longer than the lunar aspects. And we start with the sun today in the ongoing column. Mercury in retrograde is in Capricorn, which is, again, that worker mode, that earthen initiative, drive to get things done, to set goals and accomplish them and feel that accomplishment. And in Mercury retrograde, we have shakeups and challenges with our communications and our planning, and often, what we're required to do is turn within a little bit, have a conversation with ourselves before we have a conversation with somebody else, so that we can be really precise and concise and intentional about the things that we say and the plans that we try to make. If you are struggling at this time, ask for help. You don't have to go it alone, okay? Mercury retrograde can be a real internal struggle of the intellect, getting thwarted, getting stopped time and again, and then, not knowing after a while whether it's worth it to even try. It is worthwhile to try, though. We have work to do. We're in Capricorn mode here. We're in Saturn mode here. So if you're struggling to do the communication that helps you shore up your foundations and helps you feel supported and strong, reach out. Everybody's struggling, and we can work together. And this is just through the 3rd. So just a few more days, about 4 more days of Mercury retrograde, and then that will go direct. Mercury retrograde conjunct Pluto, we're going to be dealing with these energies to a greater or lesser extent through the 12th. Mercury is in a retrograde now. It will go direct in a few days, and then it will come back in conjunct with Pluto again. So we're going to get the retrograde version, and we're going to get the direct version of Mercury in conjunct with Pluto. Right now, this is, we are undergoing some transformations, especially when it comes to our communication with ourselves, the plans that we are making for ourselves. So, the transformation that is coming upon us, the transformation is Pluto, is inevitable. And you have all the resources that you need as far as your mental faculties go, your ability to communicate and to be intentional and concise about how you communicate. It's all there for you. If you can take a break at this time, go ahead and do that. If it feels overwhelming, and transformation can often feel overwhelming because it brings us through these extremes of our experience. In this case, extremes of possible confusion or feeling again stopped or thwarted. That can have a deep impact on you psychologically. And if you need to take a break, it's okay to take a break, because again, these are things that are moving through us, whether we want to allow them to or not, and B, they're going to be with us for a while. So it's all right to ease off. If something is really frustrating you, giving you consternation, find a different way, okay? Back up and move ahead from a different direction. As for the moon side of the page, still on the sun side of the page, this morning at 1:32 a.m. Central Standard Time, friends, the Sun is making a square with Uranus. And I want to say Uranus is one of those planets that is not currently in Capricorn. It is in, the sort of sensual, grounded vibe of Taurus right now, and it is direct. So we're really, with Uranus, we're making some changes about our approaches to those comforting pleasures, those mainly aspects of home that help us feel grounded, that help us feel like, our roots are down, and, that has to do with how we are eating, what we're eating, and all the other ways in which we take comfort, like how we're sleeping and where we're sleeping, that stuff. So there is a breakthrough available at this time regarding our relationship to material comfort. The Sun is shining a light on, the outer life is shining a light on this sense of wanting to make changes to how we take comfort. And the square aspect does bring up, a challenging vibration, but a challenge is also an opportunity. So, we can get stopped and we can feel some sort of upset or confusion, some instability in our lives, especially in regards to those things that give us comfort. But we can use these feelings of increased instability to break free from old restrictions. So if you've gotten into a habit for the sake of comfort that you know is not working for you or that is getting in your way, this is the shake-up time that will that can help unsettle that habit and help you break free from it. And these are generally one-day aspects. I'll probably mention it again tomorrow, just because this is a solar aspect and it's likely to have more impact than just the one day. And then on the lunar side of the page at 1:47 p.m., the moon makes a sextile with Neptune. So moon in aspect with Neptune makes us very sensitive, especially to what's going on with the people around us, the energies of the other living things around us. But sextile is not just positive; it's very cooperative. It indicates, and moon in Capricorn indicates that we have work to do. There are things that can be done to give us a positive outcome in relationship to this sensitivity. So if we're sensitive to the people around us, perhaps we can pull some people in, especially in our home space, to collaborate with us. The work that we have to do can include others in the heart and home, and with that increased sensitivity and collaboration, we're likely to generate something positive. And that is at 1:47 in the afternoon. And then at 8:26 in the evening, the moon makes a conjunct with Mercury, which is in retrograde. Moon and Mercury are both under Capricorn's heavy Saturn influence right now. And, you know, Moon in conjunct tends to amplify the effects of both of the planets. Mercury is in retrograde, so we're having a little bit of struggle with our choices and our decision making and our planning right now. Anyway, there is a difficult choice at hand that comes up this hour, and we may struggle in our hearts with the choice that we have to make. But it's important to follow what our mind is telling us. Okay, you know, logic it out for yourself. Journal about it if you need to. Consult your intuitive resources, but follow your logic, even if it's taking you into some new unknown space. You know, there may be a little bit of a struggle even that follows. Just this amplification of energies tells me that we've got a struggle in our heart. But you know, move forward into what you know to be correct for yourself, according to your logic and your rationality, even if what you know to be correct for yourself is taking you into an unknown space. Because that's where the growth happens, friends. And then at 10:44 this evening, a void, of course, moon makes a sextile with Jupiter. We had a sextile with Jupiter yesterday too. So so Jupiter and the moon usually have a pretty good time together. Jupiter will have us in our hearts and homes feeling our growth, feeling good about our lives, feeling very expansive and generous, and just like anything is possible, because with Jupiter, literally anything is possible, especially anything that will help us grow and expand our lives and our perceptions. So at this time, you know, on reflection, I see some clarity and inspiration coming in. And again, because sextile is a cooperative vibration, I encourage you to collaborate, especially with those people at home. Collaboration will bring all of our best ideas to life, and that's where the expansion of the self comes in. So tomorrow is the new moon in Aquarius, and Aquarius is, of course, ruled by Saturn. So we have Saturn all over the place. These themes of structural integrity and our duty to maintain those things that support us. You know, and under Aquarius eye, it's also like an eye toward those structures and what can we refine and reprocess to, you know, maintain the strength of our foundations, but also get them working a little bit better for us and everybody else around them. With the new moon tomorrow comes the beginning of the Imbolc holiday, which is the halfway point between winter solstice and spring equinox. So this is the very, very beginning of the springtime, and it's the time when we're going to start to notice that the sun rises a little earlier every day and sets a little later every day. The days are still shorter than the nights, but they're growing, and so we welcome the sun back in with Imbolc between the 31st with lunar Imbolc and the 2nd with solar Imbolc. We just welcome the sun back in. It's appropriate to light fires, light candles, just appreciate, you know, the warmth and fire that the sun brings to our lives, and the growth that is bound to come from that. After tomorrow, next week, on Thursday, Mercury goes direct. And so these struggles that we've been having with communication and planning should smooth out, and we should be able to go about our regular business, perhaps a little bit transformed in our approach, which is always the hope. And then on Friday, Saturn reaches its Hapahelian, which is its farthest point from the sun. And I find that somewhat interesting because Saturn is having such a strong effect on us right now. It is in almost everything that comes up for us in the astrology aspect wise. So the fact that it's doing it from such a distance tells me that we may not see the results of the work that we're doing right away. It might be somewhat delayed, but the work is still worthwhile and we will see results from it. They're just going to come up a little bit in a delayed fashion because Saturn is so far away. Think about it as just like, I don't know, the longer the farther the destination, the longer the drive, right? Also on Friday of next week, Mars will make a sextile with Jupiter. The sun is going to make a conjunct with Saturn, so that's going to really amplify all those really Saturn attention to the foundation, foundational structures and that sense of duty vibes. And then next Sunday, Mars is going to make a square with Chiron. We'll talk about those things as they come up. That is it for today's aspects. Thank you so much for joining me today. And if you've made it this far, 20 minutes into the video, I would appreciate it if you just go ahead and give me a thumbs up, like my video, subscribe, share it with somebody that you think it might resonate with. And now we're going to get into the tarot portion. I'm going to throw a single card, but first I'm going to talk to you about the card that is on the side of the page today. We have entered the second 1/3 of the sun's transit through Aquarius, and this is the card that represents the second 1/3 of the sun's transit through Aquarius every time. And this is the Six of Swords. Again, swords is about air vibration. Air vibration is about you know, your mental faculties. It's very Mercury. It's the plans you make, the thoughts that you have, the communications that you make, and the movements that you make. And the Six of Swords is really like it's a vibration of like having to have made a difficult choice and to move away from a situation that perhaps was causing you some kind of pain or consternation. And you know, like you start out in sort of choppy emotional waters and you're not sure about the choice you're making to move away or pull back from a situation, but the further away you get, the more perspective you will gain, and the better you will understand that the choice that you made was good, it was positive for you. So Six of Swords there, not a totally positive vibration, but not a totally negative one either, because if you can see that you're in a situation, especially where like thoughts and words have been used in a harmful way, either by you or toward you, then you know, if you can see that you need to move away from that situation, then you've made a positive choice, even if you don't know how you feel about it just yet. And that'll be the next 10 days will be the influence on this second 10 days of the Aquarius, the sun's transit through Aquarius. And as for today, I'm still looking at this strong Saturn influence. I see Saturn's influence in all of these aspects, including Imbolc coming up and Mercury going direct. I see some a little bit of challenge in the heart and home, but also some really positive vibrations that encourage us to collaborate. Even on the solar side, it's, you know, the information coming through is like, reach out to the people around you that, you know, perhaps can understand your struggle and can understand what you're working on, and collaborate with them for better success, right? And understanding that Saturn is nearing its Hapahelian, so that success may be a little bit delayed in showing its face. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and throw this card right here. Oh, the Devil. Okay. So, the Devil can just represent sort of a Capricorn vibe. You know, Capricorn has horns, and one of the drawbacks about the Capricorn sign is that it's so engaged in the work of having a strong foundation that sometimes it doesn't know when to stop. And there are all kinds of vices to be in the world, to have in the world. You know, people get addicted to drugs and alcohol, people get addicted to gambling, people get addicted in a way to, you know, like engaging with others in sexual play, but they also get addicted to work, right? Like the only thing that feels rewarding for some people is to get work done and make money. you know, to shore up those resources. But you got to know when to take a break from anything that, you know, distracts you from living your best life, from having your best possible experience, and anything that distracts you from like taking that overview of your traditions and your foundations, and seeking to refine the process, and seeking to be the rising tide that lifts all boats. You can't do that if you're anchored to a stone at the bottom of whatever place that is. So be careful and understand that that we all wear chains. Okay, we have all taken on these things that hold us down in one way or another, but that these chains are loose fitting and they can be removed and taken off, and we can free ourselves, even if for the day, from, you know, that sense of responsibility to whatever it is that keeps us focused inwardly and not outwardly. I love it that the devil in this picture is giving practically the Vulcan sign for live long and prosper. That occurs to me. And you know, there is warmth that we gain from engaging in our habitual the habitual things that draw us away from the life that we're living. You know, what I think about is like the games I like to play on my phone. I could spend an hour or two in the evening just playing games on my phone and ignoring everything else. But and in the evening it's okay to relax, but I don't know that I'm always relaxing. Sometimes I'm just sort of attached to the idea of playing the game and avoiding everything else. So those are the thoughts that come up with me for the devil. And if you have any ideas, if this brings up anything for you, or if you are experiencing like the heavy influence of Saturn in your life, I would love it if you would make a comment down below. Let us in on how you're experiencing these things. And otherwise, even if you just have any questions, comments, or observations, love to hear from you. My name is Melanie Rose. Thank you so much for joining me here today, and I will see you all back here tomorrow for more daily aspects.